Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Roosters on Olentangy River Road in glorious Columbus, Ohio, where it's still 70 degrees, the finest place in the entire world, and it's also home of the 3-0 Ohio State Buckeyes, who beat the mighty Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Easy for me to say. I'm so impressed by what they did on Saturday night that I'm tripping all over myself. 49-27 was the win for the Buckeyes against a super feisty, much more talented team than I could have ever imagined, coached by Greg Schiano. So, hey, I missed my prediction.
It's blasphemy.
I'm sorry.
How could you?
It was a little closer in the second half, and Rutgers deserves credit, I think, for making it so.
There you go.
But
hold on.
anyway,
Or
rewind.
Kobe credit. Kobe credit.
we can skip
Did we
right
give
over.
Rutgers credit?
Well, let's edit that out. We are at Roosters. We're getting ready for Maryland on Saturday night, but we're going to talk a lot about what happened, what to make of 49-27 for Ohio State. To me, I still don't think that it's a big deal, but we're going to all of these folks decide that. Doug Worthington down there, our friend Nicole Cox from Roosters, Evan Spencer, Justin Zwick, and Mike Bennett. We're going to have Schlegel coming in here to deliver his sermon in a little bit after that. But guys, I mean, let's just start with the Buckeye leaves. We'll get into all the rest of that nitty-gritty later. Who wants to go first? Mike?
I mean, I think you got to give it to Justin Fields and the receiving corps again. I mean, they've shown that even during a game where it didn't look like people were very focused, they're still going to put up points and get yards and be unstoppable. So, I mean, I'd have to give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost to the point where when he has an incompletion, you're like, what the heck is he doing? Every time the ball's in there, you're like, oh, yeah, they caught it. I mean,
Jay-Z, 11 incompletions and 11 touchdowns in 3 weeks.
It is, and that's insane. Yeah. I mean, I thought last year with the no interceptions throughout the year, the one, whatever, like that is crazy to me. But to come out and have it the way it's going this year, I mean, the kid is on another level. I mean it's awesome to watch.
If you're playing on air, you might throw a
no doubt.
Like this is a target for practice.
Yeah,
I think. You try to get 11 completions.
Yeah, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the Big Ten that would not be able to do that if they were on air. No doubt about it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's a good Buckeye leaf. I was gonna go outside the box. Justin Hilliard. I think forcing a fumble, just what happened last week and how everything kind of went for him. Unfortunate, guy coming back after all these years, wanting to be a part of the team, and then having that false positive, not being able to play in a Penn State game, showing up, night game in the shoe, and his name was called. He had a great game, and I just love to see guys who stick it out and don't necessarily have everything go their way while they're there. Yeah. Come in and fight. So I'm going with Justin Hilliard.
I'm going to go back in the box, and I'm giving my Buckeye leave to Coach Hartline. Quite honestly, I mean, he gets the guys up and down, ready to go. I mean, top to bottom within that room. Obviously from Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, which are the obvious ones. But, I mean, we're looking at young talent still be able to compete out there and make plays. So, kudos to him for getting the guys ready. And, it does start with the quarterback from an incompletion standpoint, but it does, you get a little bit of those meeting room conversations where it's like, hey, guys, we're really going to take 7-on-7 seriously today, and then the next day, and the next day, and then, oh, by the way, we get to the game and we don't have any balls on the ground. So kudos to him and obviously all the receivers.
Yeah, and that completion percentage is a lot of I trust these guys.
Yeah.
I'm throwing the ball into something maybe, but I trust my guy to go make that play. So, I mean, having that.
And I think that perfect example of that was that throw to Olave in the back of the end zone. Where I was sitting, I thought, what in the world? Where's that?
Yeah.
That's got to be an interception. Yeah. And then suddenly Olave just pops up. The touch is perfect.
Right.
That's obviously all the hours of work. Nicole, who caught your eye on Saturday night?
Well, I, again, just so much admire. I was just so impressed, again, with Wilson and Olave. I mean, their talent, and Justin Fields, too. And like you guys were saying, just the relationship and the trust they have. I mean, the way they work together, that type of a relationship, I mean, that's perfect. It really is.
They should get married.
And I thought it was, I'm serious. And I thought it was an interception for sure. But it wasn't, which was great. And you're just like, how did he do that?
I mean, that's just like reps and that chemistry, right?
I know.
I've tried to hit that corner pylon so many times, and I know that you snag it right before it gets there every time. That when it's in the game, I feel comfortable doing it.
Well, and they, you notice too through the game, Fields, he he takes his time. He wants to throw it into the end zone, but he'd rather make a safer pass to make sure it's not, an incompletion or an interception. And he really looks around the field and makes sure whatever pass he's going to make, it's going to be good. So I was impressed by all that again, but I wanted to pick someone different. So I'm going to go with Jeremy Ruckert. I feel like he is, he's that prototypical tight end and athletic. He is a receiving threat, and he can catch the ball and he can block too. I mean, he's huge at 6'5", and he's just
great body type.
Yeah, he's great for the team.
Beautiful
and
body.
He had those 2 touchdowns.
I don't know the celebration though. Is that the ice in the veins? Yeah,
Ice in the veins.
Is that, well, I didn't really. I don't really understand that as a tight end. I guess ice in my veins. The guy threw it to me. I caught it. Like,
get one chance a game.
Yeah, I guess.
Even
Yeah.
I know
Let
that
him live. Let him
celebration,
live.
Jason.
Well, I just don't understand the use of it. I guess is more of it. I don't know. Anyhow.
Well, okay. Well, Nicole, grade the celebration for Rucker. Do you like the ice in the veins? Like,
Yeah, I guess.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
got a
think he was
10. 10.
excited. I'm not going to judge. You got a touchdown,
exactly.
whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
To
I love when tight ends catch
Yeah,
the ball.
right.
Don't, and
Right.
Nobody on this table likes when a tight end catches the ball more than I do.
I did get a couple texts from people that were older than me on Saturday night. Like, what is Ruckert's celebration? I don't get it. I'm like, hey, D'Angelo Russell.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you think of
right.
that. You think of basketball players when I see the ice in the vein.
But Nicole was talking about that too last week with Farrell and Rucker blocking in how important they are. The tight ends aren't always going to catch a ton of footballs, but they had 6 of them against Penn State. The 2 touchdowns for Rucker. You look at him in the red zone. I mean, not that Justin Fields needs more threats down there, but that
Tight ends are
certainly
huge
helps.
in the red
Yeah.
zone.
You get those tight ends. I mean, just that play that he scored on. I mean, it was perfect. There's a blitz. He replaces. Boom. I mean, it was beautiful.
It's awesome to see how much they're counted in just a progression, within the offense, within what they're doing and attacking defenses with. Because so much of, I'm sure at least my past and others sitting at the table, right? It's they weren't too much involved in the passing game.
Please throw it to them.
I got a couple friends that can speak to that, but
Stoney's not here today.
right. But nonetheless, it's exciting to see them out there making plays, and that we got athletes that can make mismatches.
Think about
for
a
us.
defense, man. We got all these guys on the outside. We got a slot receiver.
Exactly.
Shoot, we got to cover that tight end too. I mean, how do you do it?
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Hey, we're just kind of tagging along with all that when it comes down to just some randomness. I want to give a Buckeye leaf to Demario McCall. It's one of those things where I haven't heard of him. I was expecting him in the beginning of the season a little bit more, change his number from 30 to 3. And he got out there and he had a couple of exciting plays. Still didn't get a lot, but just the fact of, me, all of us playing at Ohio State and understanding that, there's a lot of talent and sometimes you get washed in the process. He got out there, he played well, he made a couple blocks, he got to the edge, he grabbed a pass, he got a first down. I want to give some kudos to that kid. Hopefully he gets some more touches, and it was just good to see him out there. I give him a Buckeye leaf.
Kudos for the number change. What a much better number.
Yeah.
Than 30.
Drop the 0.
Yeah.
And we've talked about DeMario a lot of times, and you look if you're trying to find more from the rushing attack, I still don't necessarily know that you're going to run in between the tackles a lot, but he comes. Ohio State was looking for a different sort of
change of pace kind of guy, right? Yeah.
Gets you 12 yards on the ground, and they throw it to him. He gets, I think it was 27 yards.
You can go line up in that little slot, and you can do multiple things.
Right.
Now,
Just got to hold on to the ball after you get it, right?
It is still a little bit of a choose your own adventure when you send him back there on special teams, but it can be. Evan, you've talked about him with me a number of times.
100%.
How much you like about his athleticism.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like the athleticism and also the experience, right? Like he's going to come out there, and we need depth now at running back because of what happened in the third quarter with Sermon. So at the end of the day, to come in and just have that, Penn State game from a few years to pull on, and just be able to act with live bullets out there, right? It makes us feel comfortable with him. And him being able to do some things at receiver and slot are also really comfortable too. But he's an athlete out there that's looking for space and an opportunity. And, you got to get the balls in those guys' hands when you can.
Well, I won't give myself a Buckeye leaf for that great prediction last week, but if Greg Schiano was still on that other side, you'd give him a lot of credit for the trick plays and the buy-in that his team seems to have, the way he's fighting for them. Now, I didn't appreciate the way that he was extending a game that was already over, so I had to stay in the horseshoe a lot longer than I anticipated. Also didn't appreciate him ruining Nicole's prediction, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I think, when people are talking about this, we'll get into it with Schlegel later on, the second half with the defense. This is the third half already in 3 games where Ohio State and the Silver Bullets have gone without allowing a touchdown. That was the first half in this game. It was, the third and fourth quarters against Nebraska and most of that second quarter in the first half against Penn State. a lot of that for me is coming from Pete Warner, Tuff Borland, Baron Browning, and then Justin Hilliard that you mentioned, Jay-Z. Those linebackers are playing at such a high level. And if you're looking for a big difference between that 2018 defense that Greg Schiano led, which was the worst statistical group in Ohio State history, and now it's how far those same linebackers have come. Pete Warner is playing at an extremely high level. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the country.
I agree.
So I'd give it to the linebackers and Al Washington and maybe specifically Pete Warner. I just think he needs a little more credit. Speaking of that prediction, though, Nicole, somebody noticed the score in the second half and got a little excited. It wasn't my prediction that was right because that was long gone in the first half. But Nicole's was looking like, and she was ready. Like, it's Monday. Let's go.
There you go.
15 points are on the board, and it looked like it might finish there.
I know.
Somebody jumped the gun. I don't know who it was.
I know. Well, it was me.
Oh.
I just got really excited because 15. That's an odd score for them to get, but I mean, it happened, guys. I told you
it was there.
With all those trick plays and everything, it went right along lines with Rutgers and how they play. So, but I think for the upcoming game, just with Maryland and their game on Saturday versus Penn State. I mean, they put a lot of points on the board, and they did the same with Minnesota. They let Minnesota score a lot too, though. But I think that they are going to come ready to play, but I still think our defense is solid, and they're not going to be able to put as many points on the board. So my prediction is, I had to write it down, 48 Buckeyes, 21.
48-21.
And the spread is 27.
27,
Okay.
I think I saw today.
So
You got it right on the number right now.
Gosh.
Might need some movement to win that bet so that you can
48.
turn the winnings into some
Start
corn
doing
dogs.
some math here,
Yeah,
guys.
some
What do we
$2
want?
corn
What do we
dog.
want? What do we want?
Tuesday,
I'm waiting
$2
for my
corn
opportunity
dogs.
to smash these corn dogs.
Well,
There you go.
I think
They're
we've got
so
to.
good.
I mean, we're taste testing so that people can come in.
Oh, yeah.
on Tuesday to take advantage of that deal at Roosters. Plenty of time.
Mac
with
and cheese bites.
3:30 kickoff, Nicole, for people that want to come in and eat, pick up, watch
Yes.
the game here, or come back and celebrate what could be another Buckeyes win later on.
Absolutely. Thank
Will
you
be.
to all the guests. It's been awesome. It's been awesome having the football season this year and just seeing all the fans coming in or just getting carry out, which we did, our family did.
There you
And
go.
Yeah.
so we're just so appreciative. It just Buckeye Nation, it just feels good. It feels good that there's a season. So we're
100%.
excited.
It does.
Yeah, Ohio State football and Roosters, you can't ask for any more than that. Except maybe Letterman Live on Monday when we get to come in and enjoy all of it together.
Yes,
We're going to cut Nicole loose and let her tap out and bring in a linebacker to replace her.
Thanks for having me.
A lot more Letterman Live brought to you by Roosters coming your way.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back to Letterman Live, brought to you by Roosters. We've subbed out Nicole Cox and brought in Anthony Schlegel to bring the juice. Did you have a Buckeye leave you want to throw out?
What you got?
Maybe 5 or 6 other thoughts?
Well, who'd you guys
Recap of the game? Is that what you're asking
you
for?
guys want a recap? I mean,
Mine was Coach Hartline.
I'll melt your faces off.
I'm ready.
By
We're
recap.
ready.
It's one of those deals where, you got a guy like Austin over here, A Ward Sports, follow him on the Twitter machine. Where this is a spring football game, right? And what did Greg Schiano do? He went out and
He turned it into a spring football game with a bunch of trick plays.
okay, time out. Okay, cause that's because you never played, and still, all right, I'll get there as you digress me into something completely different. But you know what? You have an opportunity to go stop him, right? So let's just go through that, right? So you're on kickoff. Why would he do that? I love the fact that he did it because you're outmatched. You want to get your guys going, give them an opportunity. First play of the game, boom, Tennessee Miracle, whatever it's called, Miracle City Miracle. I don't forget what it's called.
Music City
Miracle.
Music City.
He throws it back. But why? Ohio State brings in their kickoff return team. You think they're just going to kick out of the end zone? They're going to do a touchback because you get the ball at 25. Somebody loses contain. That's somebody's responsibility, right? That's called coaching. And then you go and execute in your coaching. So I don't know who's at fault there. I'm going to blame it on the player because I know for a fact they always talk about be outside the furthest guy, right? The widest guy. That's somebody's responsibility on that right side. Didn't do it. Then you have the throwback on the punt. They got taken to the house. Somebody's responsibility is that, right? The gunner's probably going to the ball, but it's probably going to be the wing.
Yep.
If I'm remembering correctly, the wing on that side has that guy. Have some vision, okay? That's on coaching and the player. I'm going to say poor execution by the player. Then you have the tackle throwback. Okay, so we know the game of football. I don't think in college football you have to be eligible because there wasn't a tight end there. He also wasn't covered up. That's somebody's responsibility, and they should know that. That's on coaching and communication. We're like, hey, all right, that guy's covered up by that furthest guy. Well, hey, that means he's eligible. Somebody's got to have him. And they did it. So here's the thing about this game. What Greg Schiano did was he went into halftime. You just got the break speed off you by a superior team in Ohio State 35-3. Go win the third quarter.
Yep.
Keep chopping.
That's good.
Right? Then he's going to go win the fourth quarter. And they did.
They did.
Oh, Rutgers beat Ohio State in the fourth quarter. Small victory, but it goes a long way when you're trying to build the culture and you're trying to get your guys like, listen, if you just keep doing what you're doing, they have to play at their maximum potential to beat you. If you do some of these things, you can compete. That's what he's trying to do there. So kudos to him. First half, they played really good. All right, second half, not so much. My biggest thing on the second half was low juice. They didn't want to bring the juice out. They went back to the old days where, hey, I could just toss out the silver bullet helmet and say Ohio State's here and you're going to roll over.
Right.
And you know what? We're going to go out here and get 1 or 2 series in. This is going to be on the young guys. No, it's up to you to go make them do that. By beating their face in. So they didn't do that. 9 penalties. There seemed a lot of times in the first half where we got behind the sticks, but we were able to make it up because we have elite athletes compared to Rutgers. That doesn't work when you play a Clemson or an Alabama. It just doesn't. So you can't have 9 penalties, 3 of which are on Harry Miller, on holding, on first down, and I like him. But, like, you can't do that, right? You can't have those penalties. So here's the thing. You win by 22. There's a lot of things to coach up. You have not arrived yet.
Right.
You're not where we need to be, but we're only done with week 3. Now we get Maryland, who just got done beating the brakes off of Penn State. Better get your mind right. So that's where we are. There's my recap, and I would say tough Borland because they came out and said he was the defensive player of the game. He was the special teams player of the game. He had the only sack of the game, which was a problem because where is the pass rush versus Rutgers?
Right, yeah.
Right? So tough Borland only got to get a sack.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I'll give it to tough.
Love it.
All right, there you go.
So all those things.
You need all that juice? You okay?
That was juicy. That was juicy.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for.
Well, you got it.
And it sets the scene for the question. So
okay, go.
For me, but for all you guys, I tend to focus more on 35-3.
Yeah.
I know the other excuses that can be made for, it's night. You guys want to go do other things. You dominated the game. It's a weird week of practice.
It's at night. You want to do other things. Like who are you talking to?
Well, back in the day, you wanted to do certain things.
Back in the day.
So
in today's world, you're not doing anything after that game.
Did you guys during the game? Time out. Did you guys during the game? Did you think about what you were doing after the game?
Sometimes.
Like when we were playing?
No, while we were playing?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're in the game.
If it's 35-3,
if I'm playing Rutgers,
if it's 35-3 at halftime,
it happened. There were teams where it happened.
If I'm playing the Mexico State, it's my senior year. My boys from Buffalo. I'm thinking like, you know what? Oh man, I'm gonna go to Major Woody's tonight. I'm gonna go to. Okay, wait a minute. You do a little bit, and then you gotta think about, like you said, that last week of practice, the elections and things of that nature. Kudos to Rutgers, man. They did a hell of a job. But those guys, with nobody in the stadium, they were ready to go. You got to appreciate it. They're 17, 18, 19-year-old kids that, again, they're not in the same environment. But, again, they should have put it down a little bit better. But as a coach, you probably enjoy the fact that you had that 35-3, and then now you get to go watch the film on some horrible stuff. Right. Like, when it comes down to Monday, like, they're not going to watch that first half. It's like, no, let's look at the second half. Let's see what you did bad so we can really put some X's and O's out there and start chewing into somebody's butt so we can be more serious about, like you said, a Maryland who came and put it on Penn State.
I kind of disagree with that just because I don't think that first half, I might be crazy, but I didn't feel great about that first half. Like Schlegel talked about, there was penalties, we were behind the chains where we just had better players and they made plays to pick up the first downs. But in a scenario where we're playing Alabama and we're like that, is that going to be so easy to pick up? Like 35-3, yeah, it looked great. But I was just like, man, they were playing in the second half, and his buddies of mine like, man, we got to get them out. I said, it looks like they need more live reps. Yeah, it looks like they need something, and I think that is. So I think they'll look at that first half. I mean, I think Harry had his 3 holding calls in that first half, maybe 2 on one drive, almost back-to-back. I mean, I think they will look at those things and say, we got to clean this up because next week against Maryland, who might score some points, or, down the road against Alabama, we can't be playing like this. We can't play down to the level of these guys. We got to mow them over, and we didn't do that, even though it was 35-3. We're nitpicking, but it just didn't feel as clean as it has in the past when we have a Rutgers or somebody that we're supposed to beat 50-0.
Well, one thing that I can mention about the first half was the fact that it almost seemed like we were trying to come out and run the football and make that be what we were going to open up the passing game with. And then it wasn't as successful as we liked it to be, and we realized we're the best passing team in the country so that we can pick up on 2nd and 22 or, 2nd and 18.
And Ryan likes to do that. He did a lot last year. Yeah. He came out running the ball. He wants to prove that we can do that, and it's just not up to where it was, and now J.K. Dobbins is not here, so that's a big reason why.
I'll tell you this: these are delightful little corn dogs. And matter of fact, tomorrow is Appetizer Tuesday.
Yes, and the $2 appetizer tomorrow.
Yeah,
somebody might be replacing their mac and cheese bites. I think. Mike's going to town.
No, but that being said, they were quite delightful.
If only there was ketchup.
Oh, I love mini corn dogs. I haven't had them in years.
You know what? I would say this: everybody talks about the concern of the running game. They'd rush for 200 yards.
Yeah.
It's against Rutgers. But it's going to look different. And I think every year is going to look a little different. When you have a running back in J.K. or you have a running back in Zeke, they can do that. They have that other gear. They are able to put the foot in the ground and get vertical. They're able to run through some tackles. Are our guys a J.K. Dobbins? No, I think through the combination of all of them, we have an semblance of a running game. Correct. Now, you also see Master Teague, I think, catch 3 or 4 balls for almost 40 yards out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. That's also a style of running game because if the defense wants to stay back and try to keep everything in front of you, those intermediate checkdowns and passing routes are going to be there, which just serves to go pick up 5 yards. If you trust your guys to execute, that's just like having a run, right? So then you go run the ball because he scored a touchdown on it in the red zone. There's your running game. So you still rush for 200 yards, but you have to look at what it is that you do at an elite level. We have wide receivers and the best throwing quarterback in the country. That's what we got. So some of what we do offensively is going to change year to year. You didn't want to see 2018 offense with the 2019 Justin Fields and J.K. It would be underselling J.K. and everything that he could do.
Well said.
But now we don't necessarily have that, so you look at your pieces, and you're like, man, Olave, Wilson, the tight ends, our running back stable. Okay, and then pinnacle, Justin Fields. All right, how do I maximize his skill set to the best of our ability to go win football games? Well, he puts us in that best situation, so we're just going to plan accordingly. But when you get behind the sticks, that's when the running game kind of goes out the window because you're not going to run it, right? So if you go get that, 7-yard out, well, now I'm probably going to run, but you don't know what I'm going to do. I can do anything in my playbook.
Exactly.
But as soon as it becomes 2nd and 20, 2nd and 15, 70% of your playbook's out because now you got to go pick up 5 or 7 yards to make it 3rd and medium or 3rd and short. Yeah. It's different. It looks different. Okay.
So many people don't understand that 2nd and 7 is a win, right? I want to play from 2nd and 7 because I can run anything in my playbook.
Right.
Mike, you're in.
I was going to say, these guys have hit on it now. The running back stuff, that was the only thing that I came away with that's a problem. I've been saying it the whole year that I think that, we'll be okay with the running backs. We'll be okay. I expected them to have a bigger game against Rutgers. And you saw the offensive line was dominating their defensive line, but if somebody smacked the running back in the thigh, they went down. And I think that's a real problem, especially when you got big backs. Like, these guys aren't, your $180 running back. These are solid running backs, and, we got Master Teague, who so far I've not seen him be able to move laterally, so you need to be able to break tackles consistently. And I would have hoped to see that against Rutgers, and I didn't. And that was in the first half when, Schlegel was saying, okay, screw it. You stop us running, then we'll just go light you up in the passing game. That's all well and good. Eventually, we're going to need that running game. And if you can't establish that on a Saturday night at Ohio State against an inferior team, I don't know what to tell you. This is the first quarter, and you're not able to run it against Rutgers. So that made me nervous. They're going to have to figure that out. Master Teague and Trey Sermon are going to have to figure it out. I was excited to see Steele Chambers came in, fumbled on the first play.
I know.
So that's if you want to lose a job as a running back, that's how you do it.
And they gave him another chance when Trey Sermon went out with that injury in the fourth quarter. Right after he had 64 yards on that drive, a catch and a couple runs, he looked
pretty good.
That's the Trey
best
Sermon
run he had.
That I've been telling Jay-Z was coming. And then he's out. Put Steele Chambers in. It's a red zone. It's a chance to maybe get Rutgers to finally stop, pulling out trick plays with another touchdown. Fumble. You give it up, and that's twice. And the reason that Demario McCall has not been a large
he better talk to him
is because he'll tell you this is what happens. Steele Chambers, I understand that that's been an issue in the practice field as well. So why didn't you see him at Penn State? Ohio State wasn't sure if you'd be holding on to the football. Then you go do it in a game. That's a problem. I don't know, what the solution is if Trey Sermon is hurt. Maybe it'll be another look for
Throw
Mario
to
to make up
Olave.
for it.
That's the solution is until a team
And
Some oily footballs at practice. That's what the solution is.
until a team forces
Dog
you,
went down the wrong hole. Buckeyes.
until a team forces you, like they can actually prove that they can shut down the whole receiving core.
Yep. Right.
I don't think we're going to focus on the running backs that much. When it gets time where we have to run the ball, I think you'll see jet sweeps. I think you'll see quarterback option. I don't think you'll just see that traditional power.
Well, I think that's
we've seen.
We
one
need something
area
downhill, man.
I think it's one area that we haven't had in the run game is we haven't really seen Justin Fields pull the ball and run. So that's something that's
Thank God.
I agree with that, but that spreads that defense out a little bit, right?
Sure.
I mean, if you know this quarterback and you've seen him on film this year doing it, they're going to keep an eye on him going this way while the ball is going that way. So I think that might be part of the run game where they're saying we don't really need it right now. We don't want him taking these hits. We don't want this. But as we get on into December, maybe that's something that we see. All right, he starts pulling it and getting out the backside.
And I think Rutgers knew that. Whenever Master T, like the zone read look, you knew that Justin Fields was going to give it. And so did Greg Schiano. They weren't going to put Justin Fields at risk against Rutgers.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder. Like if you don't have to defend honestly on the backside with what Justin Fields can do, that's going to help a defense. You look at the touchdown he scored, Schlegel, you brought it up. It was easy money. Like they sold out. Flow going the other way. Fields keeps. He's gone. And you're not going to catch him. I think that's
it's like we're back to the Haskin days where he's just there's no chance he's running out the backside.
Well, here's the beauty. Here's the beauty.
Yeah.
And we saw this actually play out in the NFL this week. Justin Fields can run the football, and he can pass the football. Seattle goes to Buffalo. They had a great plan to stop Josh Allen in the running game. Guess what Buffalo didn't do? Run the football.
Yeah.
Wait, we had a great plan. We planned for it all week, but they just didn't do it. And they said, you know what? We feel more confident in our quarterback's ability to throw the ball and beat you because that's the weakness of your defense is the secondary, and you are the lowest in the league in the sacks. So that's what we're going to do. But you're good. You're decent against the run. So we're just not going to run the football. And so then I still don't think that we've seen what our entire offense looks like because they're trying to figure this out. Remember, we didn't have spring ball. Mm-hmm. They had camp, but it was abbreviated because they didn't have all the contact practice that you need. And Ryan Day said that they had limited tackling drills. So the flow of being able to block and inside drill and run, all that stuff really isn't there. And I think it will start coming together. But if you look at the carries, Master T got 12 for 60-something. Trey Sermon had 12 for 60-something.
Yep.
All right. So and then you had Steel Chambers 4 for 48. Right. You had all these guys like who wants to be the guy? Well, maybe they're all the guy.
Right.
And it's going to be situational. We see that in the NFL. You're going to have your power back. You're going to have your back that comes out of the backfield on third down. You got a guy that goes in there and protects and can do some things in the passing game. Like, that's what it is, and everybody's fine with that. You don't necessarily have to have that bell cow, right? We just saw this in the Notre Dame game. ETN, ACC all-time leading rusher, had 34 yards versus Notre Dame. 34. And they still scored 40 points. Right? They came back, and it was 40-47. Did he need him? No, because DJ Ungalele,
that was actually really good, Schlegel.
Well, from the morning juice this morning, I just call him DJ But that being said, he's still, I think, for 380 or 400-some yards, right? Yeah. And they were still there, and they had to battle their way back. So, again, everybody pumped the brakes on what it looks like. The biggest thing is, I think, we're in a good position.
Yes, we are.
Where we have so much stuff on film that coaches can go back and keep hammering the guys at what makes Ohio State an elite. It's the fundamentals. It's execution. It's no penalties. It's field position and turnovers. That's what ultimately wins the game versus great competition when everything is equal. So we got to keep hammering that.
I think the other part that has me putting such little stock in what happened in the second half Saturday night is this year is weird. You've seen Notre Dame.
Weird.
Yeah, it's understatement of the year. But
I mean, have you seen who's at the top of the Big Ten right now?
Well, I'm gonna get there.
Okay, get there. I'm just saying,
it's not
crazy.
just
Bloomington.
It's not just that Penn State is 0-3, that you can show up and lose to anybody. It's not just that Ohio State's rival is 1-2, and looking like they could only win 3 games for the entire year. But now everybody wants to anoint Notre Dame as a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they won 12-7 against Louisville. Did people think that that was an indictment.
Do we
of
compare
the
that to a
program.
Rutgers situation, though?
Well, I mean,
how seriously
That's
does
worse.
Notre
I
Dame
think
take
Rutgers
Louisville?
is probably
worse.
a better team than Louisville.
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about Louisville. Yeah, so
I don't either, bro.
Why the hell would Notre Dame care about Louisville?
And so
Why would we care about
Clemson
that?
struggles against Boston College. That wasn't a 1 week thing. So maybe that there was something to that. But
BC
then
was
they-
4-2, got really good coaching.
Well,
Great coaching.
I give a ton of credit to Jeff Hafley, but the point is, and then Alabama gives up 48 points to Ole Miss. Like, it is hard to win college football games.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so the best
So
part
I don't
is we're
know.
3-0 going into week 4.
Yeah, I take it.
Totally. And reps are important, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, there's so much about football that actually you got to go out there and do it, right? You got to go out there, like, in a different world. We were talking about this before. You got to go out there. You got to fail. You got to see it on film. And you got to get your ass chewed by your coach and go do it different next time. I mean, that's just what it is.
I also want to point out, Doug, did you have something to say?
I mean, yeah, I could always say something. What I was going to say is that we need to be happy that the fact that we got a Justin Fields and that wide receiver
Yeah,
core.
it's attitude
So
and
it's one of,
gratitude,
yeah,
Doug.
it's like one of those things where the
Yeah.
running game ain't hitting like on all cylinders like our Eddie George, like our Beanie Wells and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But guess what? We have some elite wide receivers that have had like 2 to 3, 4, 3 games in a row of 2 touchdowns, 100-yard receiving, just crazy stats that never happened before.
Craziness.
So somebody's gonna have to take a little bit of the spill of that, and it's the running game. The running game is known for knocking it down and opening holes and getting 100 and some yards, a couple 100-yard backs. It's a little bit different. I appreciate it. And, as a defensive lineman, you do want more running because that clock keeps going.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's fun to watch. It's fun to see what Justin Fields and the stats that he's putting up. So I'm all for it.
Yes.
I'd like to say I'm actually kind of thankful that this happened with Rutgers because we saw just about every trick play you can come up
Yeah.
with.
Right.
Every
They're gonna work on
different
that
phase
now,
of the
yeah,
game. When it comes down to crunch time, that even in these big games, you're probably going to see a trick play. If it's 40-40, in the national championship, Clemson's not above running a trick play. No. The only thing we didn't see was a flea flicker or a Statue of Liberty. So,
I thought they might be trying when they had a final fumble.
if they had another quarter, I'm sure we would have seen it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I think it was great that we saw. Screw these.
Love it.
I think it was great that we saw all those trick plays. I think it was great that the guys were tested for 4 quarters and, like you guys said, had an opportunity to put some genuinely bad stuff on film, mostly mental mistakes.
Yep.
And hopefully, that can be that game where it's like, all right, guys, good, you did it. You slacked off. We didn't get bit by it. Now let's go lock in for the rest of the season and go about it because, you don't get too many opportunities to get punched in the mouth when you're playing inferior opponents. So I personally like when Ohio State gets punched in the mouth.
Yeah, that's good.
Especially early in the season. For our national championship run, I don't know if we would have done what we did without losing to Virginia.
Oh, there's no
I
way.
agree. I
There's no
agree
way.
with you.
So
There's no way.
early in the season,
And what
I
ab-
like to see that.
But what about, a dogfight with Indiana in November? I think people forget it wasn't this nonstop ride for you.
We struggled with Minnesota too.
Yeah.
Like, I think it makes you tougher. I think it builds grit. It highlights more problems that you can fix throughout the season. If I honestly think if we had just skated and beat everybody 76-0, we would not be in a position to win the national championship.
100%. Like, I know the exact drill that they're doing on kickoff coverage and on punt team to go handle those two. You know what I mean? So it's like just thinking about that, like that's going to be burned into those guys' brains. And again, it comes back to reps. Like think about them maybe not having those many times on punt to go say, hey, you got that guy, and then you're the wing, and the same thing on the other side. And you also have contained responsibilities while doing that, right? And just going through and walking through these responsibilities with these guys is going to help across the board. But then you put it on film in the shoe or whatever, and then it's like, oh crap, okay.
Show them what happens
Thank
when they
God
don't
it was
follow.
Rutgers,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because we got out leveraged. Football's a game of leverage, and they started out play one by out leveraging us, right? Like so, let's start with the fundamentals, and we build from there.
Pace, space, and angles, alignment, assignment, alerts, and adjustment are in every single play, and that's where you get to go back, right?
Couldn't even write those down.
Alignment, assignment, alerts, and adjustment. Well, they're burned into my mind because that's the game of football, right? And that's the beauty of this. And I 100% know for a fact where we were at the beginning of that year with the trials. And first off, you can't replicate the feeling of you on those plays, right? Because you're going to go into a period and you're working on them, but it's knowing that they're there and that they could happen under the lights. Different ball game than at practice. But I definitely know in 2014 where we were after Braxton got hurt through the first game, then the Va Tech loss, and then everything that the guys did for the remainder of the year. People forget It's winning the Big Ten, going to the college football playoff, and playing in a national championship.
Yep.
Like, that's what matters.
It is.
It doesn't matter how you get there. Nobody goes back and says, remember that time? Remember that play? Right? That's because he's from Wyoming and he has nothing better to do. But we know, like,
just did it.
But that's what made you guys great that year, right? So you were able to handle that, and take that into the last 3 games, because you guys knew once you got there. I knew from the jump during that Wisconsin game it was going to be a butt whooping.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be on like Donkey Kong. And then when they walked out, Alabama walked out, and I looked at them, I'm like, man, these are big but really stiff dudes. I'm like, we got this. And then I saw the Nassau that is Oregon, because they didn't squat back then. I'm like, man, this is over. Get your mind right.
That one looked like a high school team that we were playing there.
Nassau, bad thing.
All right,
bad deal.
Let's get our mind right. Let's start talking about Maryland. Give me
Maryland.
your
crab cakes in football.
Your number one.
That's what they do.
If you have a concern
Send them my way.
for the
I gotta have that
Buckeyes
shit.
and what score you are projecting from this huge matchup with Maryland, I self-scouted, and I'm not going to be so critical of who I think the worst hire in Big Ten history was on the other sideline this week.
Hey, you can't be saying that, man. They're supposed to be buying 20 striker machines from me, man. Like, let's pump them up a little bit, man.
I will.
Get these sales.
Hey, I'll say that Mike Locksley has already proved me wrong. He was extremely impressive against Penn State on Saturday.
Good.
So you can't take anything for granted, and I did that last week. It's on me. I messed up with Rutgers.
My biggest thing that I'm worried about with Maryland is what I think happened to Penn State. They're still named Maryland, but they are not the same team they have been the last couple of years.
That's good.
I don't think they're this great team, but they have a better passing attack. I think our offense is going to put up a stupid amount of points on them.
Right.
But I think they have the ability to score, and if we come out with any of that same energy we came out with Rutgers in the second half, because they're called Maryland,
right,
then it's going to be a fight for a little bit. And when, once the momentum's in their favor, Ohio State's going to out-athlete them. But the last thing we want to see is 2 back-to-back weeks of Ohio State not taking an opponent seriously. And I think Maryland has a real opportunity to score, or a real ability to score some points. And our defense, personally, I mean, they haven't been stellar. They just haven't been, and they haven't had to be. They won't have to be going forward. They're going to have to do enough. But as a fan and as a former player and a former defender, it makes you sick to see a defense that, in my mind, I always expect Ohio State's defense to be top in the country. When I was there, I wanted to go down as Ohio State's best defense in history. Didn't happen, whatever. But that should be, in my mind, what every defender's goal is. And, you can't let these games with Maryland's and Rutgers jack up the score. So I think that Maryland's going to score more than we would hope. But
how many?
I'm going to have to start doing my predictions before Nicole, so that
so you're not piggybacking off her.
Yeah.
She's good at
it's
it.
It's a heck of a prediction.
Yeah.
So
What'd she say? What'd she say?
48, 21 or something?
48-21.
That's a good score.
It's a strong score. I could see them scoring 21 just for the sake of being different. I'm going to say 17.
There you go.
I think 2 touchdowns is reasonable, and especially if we come out with that same get-me-out-of-here attitude as last week, they will easily score 2 touchdowns. They're definitely looking at some trick plays.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maryland's going to throw some of those, maybe 3 of the 5. So, I mean, I'll say 21. I'll say Ohio State 50. What's the number divisible by 7? 56.
56.
There you go.
There you go. Boom.
I like
they're not kicking field goals right now.
I like QB3, Tua Viola. He's a small. We have a lot of problems with those good running quarterbacks. He gets the ball out of his hand very, very fast. So when it comes down to that defensive line that didn't get no pressure last week, when it comes down to the defensive backs who are not that intimidating, I looked at Sean Wade, man. He's really gritty. He's really hard. He came off some good blitzes, but he hasn't been that player that we hoped that he was. Rakeem Jarrett was a guy against Penn State. I had 2 shallow crosses and took them both to the house. So to see that matchup and to see, if we can get them down, if we can get them contained, it's going to be fun to watch. I think Favre's prediction is going to be a little bit more lopsided. I think that second half of that Rutgers game is going to make sure that we know that we need to play the full game just in case anything may happen. I'm going to go, let's go 10 to 64 or something like this, something crazy. 64-10. I'm gonna go something crazy.
I was gonna go with the big number for Ohio State too. So
I just feel like they will get a couple passes off. I feel like the defensive line is going to reemerge again because they didn't get any sacks. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yep. No, definitely. 59 to I don't know, maybe like 31.
Okay.
A lot of points getting scored here, right? And another game with a lot of good film for some young guys to get better on. Unfortunately, I wish I felt better about a lot of our DBs, similar. And I think that, with a young quarterback, obviously he's got his brother name. He wants to live up to it. And now he's got a great team to go build his college football lore against. I think that they're just going to come out with some interesting plays and, Tua Vailoga, or what's his brother's name?
Tua's brother.
Is it Tulua?
Yeah, Tua's brother.
Yeah, I call him Tua's brother.
Tua's brother.
All the time, yeah.
But nonetheless, right, he comes from great bones, and he knows how to compete, right? So I think they're going to put up some points on him. And, I think we need to answer the bell.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tua's brother is the main thing here. I look back, 2 years ago, we beat Maryland on a 2-point play.
Yeah.
For them to win the game.
51-50.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. They can score some points, and now it looks as if they have
It was ugly, Mike.
I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, it was ugly.
quarterback. Oh, sorry. If you were there, I apologize.
He wasn't.
Okay, yeah,
He's not
okay.
there.
He doesn't even.
I don't even think about that kind of stuff when I'm
Ball. It was a good ball.
my memory is terrible. But I think they're a
Doesn't
legit.
mean it wouldn't have been accurate, Jake.
Well, I think they're a legit offense in a way, and they're coming off of a win against a team that who knows if they've ever beaten Penn State before, but it's got to be a confidence builder, right? And they went out and they handled business, and they're looking at the Ohio State-Penn State game the week before they played them saying, we beat these guys better than these guys did. Why can't we play with them? I think Tua's brother.
Little Tua.
Little Tua. All right, we'll go with that.
Is his name not Tua?
Tua.
Tua, it has all it has those letters in it, but then there's
It's Tua 2.
Tua 2.
He's got a 4-star receiver, which stars matter, right? He's got some players that he can go to. I see them scoring. I was going to say 31. I came in 28. You thought that was a little high.
Hey,
I tacked on a field goal even after you tried to talk me down. But
give it to me, Jay-Z.
I'm saying 52 to 31.
Wow.
I think it's still a dominant. We're still winning by double digits.
Yeah.
But I think we see our secondary continue. I don't want to say the word. I don't want to use the word struggle. But I see
mature.
I see them making some plays on our guys. It's happened in the last couple games. I don't see it not happening with an offense like they've been scoring and hitting on all cylinders.
Who did they get beat by the first week, Maryland?
They got smoked by Northwestern.
Yeah, that's right. Absolute beat down.
Absolute.
Brakes beating off you. They had to go to Midas before they could fly. But it was at Northwestern, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so they had to go get brakes on the plane at Midas. I don't even know
they
if
sell those at Midas?
Yeah, probably. It was awful. Beat down by Northwestern.
47 brakes. You got those in the back.
I'm about to say.
So let's go. But this has kind of been Maryland. Maryland has a good game, and then they get the brakes beat off them. And they won last week. Who they played last week? I forget.
Penn State.
No, two weeks
before
ago.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
They played that.
And that's kind of been them, right? Like when they have a lot of adversity, like they're probably going to get at Ohio State. Like, how do we get off the field versus these guys?
That's good.
It's going to really have to be, do we turn the ball over and give them short fields to allow them to potentially get a league or stay with us to where that builds confidence in them? If you go take it from them out the jump like we did versus Rutgers in 35-3, different ball game. So I kind of see like that's the key. And again, it's not like they have a ton of weapons that you have to focus in on. We know what they try to do. Yeah, they can run the ball, but more so the passing game and keeping Tagovailoa in the pocket. And he's a smaller guy when we have bigger defensive line. So that's kind of what they have to do. My expectation is 59-20.
Yeah.
I want to
get 2 59s here.
Just said because I think it was a great point about especially what we saw with Rutgers. I think the only reason that game was as close as it was because Rutgers was able to keep their guys motivated with the success of those trick plays.
Right. Yeah.
Because, like you said, with those teams that aren't necessarily as good, the whole game is dictated on early momentum. So if they think they're in it early, then they will be able to have that hope. But if you go and take it from them early on, then it's kind of like, okay, well, we are playing Ohio State. It is what it is.
How it's supposed to go.
Let's do what we can. And I don't know if Maryland is. We know Shiano's creative. I don't know if Maryland's got the same kind of trick plays that'll bring that momentum back into their corner. So if Ohio State can get out of their own way, this could easily be a blowout. But if they make mistakes early and Maryland's able to
you're
stop
behind
them
the chains
on
like we were against Rutgers, and maybe they don't pick those up.
And then they make some plays. I would say to your point too, Mike, is you got to remember what is Rutgers and what is a Maryland really playing for?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're truly playing to show that our culture has changed, and we want to keep the Maryland guys and the people in that part of the country to where they want to go to Maryland or they want to go to Rutgers.
Right. That's good.
Right? Like, that's why Greg Schiano at halftime goes in and says, it's a new half.
Right.
Like, that's over. I mean, we do this for little kids, man, when we're coaching them. Hey, go win the first quarter. Go. Okay, hey, I know it. You know, you guys are down 12-0 or whatever the case may be. Hey, first half's gone.
0-0.
I want to see you win this quarter. Right now, you got to go give it. And then they did, and it was 7-6 in favor of Ohio State. Oh, we were 1 point off in that third quarter. Hey, let's go win the fourth.
Right.
That's how you get guys like that to buy in for 4 quarters when you have a really good team that might shift down to third gear, and their fifth gear is better than your third. But your fifth gear is like an eighth gear, right? You hit the turbocharge button. It's something that they can't even possess. You know what I'm saying?
I'm following the analogy.
Everybody follow that?
Yeah.
Anyways, that being said, like that's what they're playing for. Like I think
That's good.
you have Greg Schiano understands exactly who Rutgers is.
Yeah.
Right? We have to go develop our guys, change the culture, bring like-minded dudes in, and can we always compete? And honestly, a win is what we saw of Indiana last year. A win is going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
Now you have Indiana this year they've never beaten Penn State and Michigan in the same year, right? They beat us and Michigan. I don't even know if Penn State was in the league at that time in 1987. Last time they've ever done that. Hey, you know what we're doing in our program? We broke through last year. We went to a bowl game. How do we have some semblance of relevance in the Big Ten East to potentially go to a bigger bowl? Like, that's what they're playing for. That's their identity. And he's going to get paid handsomely for doing that because they know exactly who they are. Yeah. And so I think Rutgers knows that now. I think Maryland understands where they are in the landscape, and there's significantly a lot more parity outside of us for the other remaining 6 teams on our side of the conference.
Maryland has, like you guys said, just a great bit of film and just opportunity and just expression to kind of play this week of practice off of. They get to look at the couple years back when they almost beat us.
Yes.
They can look at good old Indiana. I mean, not Indiana. They can look at good old Maryland. I mean, they can look at Rutgers from last week and what they did and the fact that they coming off a huge win against Penn State. And then it kind of brought it out there is the fact that next week, as Ohio State, you're playing a top 10 opponent. You know what I mean? Not in the beginning of the season. Now we look at Indiana. We can't look at the next game of being any type of consequence. We got to make sure that we look at Maryland knowing what they're capable of to get the job going.
2020 is nuts.
Did I say something?
No, it's real. We can't
crazy.
look past Maryland.
It's crazy.
We're latching onto that right there.
That is amazing. Do it, Austin.
Don't look past Maryland because Indiana.
That's the crazy part. It's true. Yeah, it's 100% true.
It's a crazy year, man.
It's just a weird year, you know? Like
Cats and dogs.
It sounds weird saying it too, but I'm thinking like, okay, you know.
Point.
Don't look ahead to Indiana.
So Maryland got some stuff in their back pocket, so it's
true though.
Gonna be something. Yeah.
Top 10 Indiana.
You've been working on that one.
Yeah, it's out. Hey, I mean, it might be
in the back pocket for a while.
Big noon kickoff, and like they
marinate.
Bring
That's
everybody back
crazy
out. Like,
talk.
It's good. It's going to be for the Big Ten East Division.
What are we talking?
That they
This is
both
amazing.
handle their business, which I think that I don't have any doubts that Ohio State will do that this week against Maryland. Doug, you brought up 2 years ago, and it's there's always a danger in that if you're using that as a predictor. Like, yeah, they got a wild shootout, but all the coaches have changed. The point is still the same. That Schlegel brought it up, Bennett brought it up, and you brought it up 2 years ago. What happened in that game early was that Maryland got confidence. They hit 2 freakishly long runs.
They rushed for 300 and something yards in that game, but that's
McFarland had like 290 yards rushing.
Yes, he did. It was
and they
atrocious.
believed that they could pull the upset.
Yes,
because they got that early. That's what you guys are talking about. That you have to take care of business early. And look, I don't have any doubts that Ohio State will do that. They did do that to Rutgers. I know Jay-Z wasn't fully thrilled with it, but 35-3.
35-3 is still
they did that
a big win.
They did that to Penn State, and that score could have been larger. We talked about that last week, but it was still 21-3 or 6, and you knew that game was over. And the same thing, Nebraska actually threw some punches early, but they weren't going to score again for the last 40 minutes of the game. That's what I think we're going to see Ohio State's best effort this week. You guys all talked about the value of that. You've been through it. You know it better than I do. So I guess I'll learn my lesson, and I'll not go too truly crazy.
Unless it's against Rutgers, man. Don't let these people put you down.
Don't let the Rutgers fans get you.
Here's the point. They were never going to win 84-0. I hate Rutgers. I don't understand why they're in the league. I tried to prove a point. I didn't expect that score was actually going to happen.
Hey,
So that's
people put
also
money
why-
on that score.
I
Huh?
did. So that's also why I didn't leave on Saturday night. Like, oh man, I really thought this was going to be 84-0, and they only won by 22. Like, that doesn't mean that Ohio State isn't good, and that's why I couldn't understand. Like,
College football.
I tried to prove a point, and I didn't make it very well. That was on. That was on me.
That was on you,
and that was also on Greg Schiano.
I would like
for
to
playing
say-
hard. I give him credit for it.
We probably could have put 80 on them. It's just
35 here, halfway
35.
there.
Oh yeah, no
3?
doubt.
Well, it's not halfway. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But don't worry.
We
don't
talk
worry
about
those
sports.
two
We don't
teams. Yeah,
deal with math.
It's
that's a different show.
A-Ward sports, not A-Ward
Hey.
math.
Schlegs, believe me, they found me on Saturday night, no problem. So I'll go 56-10. I do think there is a chance in that passing game where Maryland could improve on what I'm predicting there. Tyreek Johnson didn't really make the most of that opportunity in the secondary. He's going to have to get better from that and take that film. Marcus Hooker missed a couple tackles. So that's an area where Maryland would concern Ohio State, but I think that they're going to be fine. Kerry Combs, I give him the benefit of the doubt more times than not. So 56-10 is what we've got. Nicole Cox made her prediction early on. Mike Bennett, Jay-Z, Justin Zwick, Evan Spencer, Anthony Schlegel, and Doug Worthington just gave theirs because this has been a fun, casual conversation. As always, at Roosters, appreciate everybody for watching us, as always, at Lettermen Row. We'll be back here right next week, or come on Tuesday to get some corn dogs.
Yes.
$2 corn dog.
They're worth it.
Honestly, you could buy 25 of these, right? If you listen to the Morning Juice, we do a
At
thing
Schlegel
tomorrow.
Math. Here we go.
Right? You could buy 25 of these. There's 10 per. How many could you buy then, A-Ward math? That would equal how many?
Is this your kids' math
I-
coming into
I
our
wasn't even thinking-
podcast?
It would equal 250 because you could get 25 and they have 10. You add the 0, 250.
I wasn't even
Boom.
paying attention.
Anthony
okay,
Schlegel
of course,
math at
course,
Twitter.
yeah,
Schlegel Mathy. He's got it going. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week at Roosters.